Originally, I was working on a video about the negativity in the Genshin community, but that was kind of bumming me out. So instead, I'm going to ruin your day instead. I'm going to do that with a list of things you cannot unsee in Genshin Impact, something I've been saving things for quite a while. So let's start strong with the planters in Mondstadt. Now this is one that a lot of people have caught onto over time. You might have also noticed yourself if you spent a lot of time in Mondstadt. One of the planters here is not properly centered. If you somehow managed to avoid this little piece of information and just lived in ignorance, well, now you're cursed with knowledge and Mondstadt is probably ruined. Moving over to Lieben, who is kind enough to currently be in the game, making it easier to get footage for this. But okay, people have picked apart Lieben's design extensively, looking at everything he's carrying on his pack, including the little Dragon Balls. But have you ever noticed that Lieben is basically wearing Crocs? Loved by many, hated by even more. If you never noticed, this is a good chance you're probably unhappy with this little piece of info. Moving up north to Mondstadt, if you glide off the edge of the map, you can find a little piece of land here. And while normally there is nothing here, I have never been able to get this horrible piece of stretched texture out of my mind. I found it very early on, and it's pretty normal for games to have stretched textures like this in areas where they just don't really expect the player to go or don't give a reason to go. So it's, it's not a big deal. But it is hideous, and changing the time of day does not help it. It's just as bad. Many of us are familiar with the Knights of Favonia's headquarters, and the fact that Klee's solitary confinement is right by Jean's room. But you look out the window, and it's a window. There's a place for it to look out. There's no room there. It's either that or the space that Klee is living in is like as wide as that wall. Klee is literally inside the walls, just scuttling around. And then beyond just that, if you go up to the windows and start looking to the wall where her room should be, you start to see that there are actually some windows out there, but there aren't any on the inside, just a brick wall and Klee's little solitary confinement door. I know Klee tends to misbehave, but she doesn't deserve to be locked in basically a coffin. And if you want to nitpick the Knights of Favonia's headquarters even more, you can see that right to the left there should be a window on Jean's office. But if you actually go into Jean's office, that's just a bookcase. Then if you go to the right, you can see that the window behind Jean's desk is looking right at this house with a red roof. Now, if you go outside, you can see that no matter what window she's looking out here, she should not be seeing that view. If you come out here and look through the same perspective that Jean's office window is, you can see that that view ain't here. There's no red roofed house. Even the window over there won't be seeing the same thing that she sees. The real takeaway here is that the Knights of Favonia's headquarters clearly exists outside of time and space. Down by the stone gate here, this tree actually used to hover like half a foot or a foot off the ground, but it actually looks like they fixed it. If you open up your map and go down and left, you'll see a little piece of land here that looks like a little blob with a sad face on it. This thing has always reminded me of the enemies from Yoshi's Island. Now, if there are people who don't know this one or have never found it, I will be shocked. Various docks and wharfs and stuff in the game have poles that just don't go down deep enough into the water to actually reach any land to stick into. This is another one that actually shows up in a lot of different games. When it's repeated this much, it looks pretty silly. Both Xiangling and Kokomi have these little dot eyebrows. It's usually pretty hard to see because both of these characters have bags that kind of cover them up. On top of that, Kokomi's really blend into her skin because of the color of her hair. Honestly, they may have snuck another one of these in here since then. These are just the two that I know of. This one I've seen around before and people have different opinions about it. If you look at the back of Yulan's coat here, a lot of people think that this looks like an owl. Some think it looks like a penguin. And if you want to favor it a little bit towards owls, the little like ear looking things, some owls have feathers that look like horns or ears. I can see the penguin thing too, but this definitely looks more like an owl. Now, just like with the Mondstadt planters, prepare to have something completely and utterly ruined for you. Domains always have these keys that actually start the domains, and normally they are perfectly centered in the arenas. And yeah, you can probably see where this is going. The emblem domain, for whatever reason, is not even close. There might even be another domain like this out there, but honestly, everyone I checked was perfectly centered except for the emblem domain. So if you ever need another reason to never go back there, well, this could be it. Now for some from the Reddit that I've never heard of or noticed myself, starting with this ugly ass particle effect. In the process of video editing and whatnot, you see a lot of ugly ass particle effects, things just becoming choppy and blocky when they shouldn't be. This kind of thing would drive me absolutely nuts, and I'm kind of glad I don't own Mist Splitter. this one's pretty funny. Like, look, the ears are a major stretch on this one, but look how perfectly it lines up with everything else. Yeah, sure, the proportions are off and it's not perfect, but like, come on, like there are like indentations where they're supposed to be, and like it just matches up so well. Then there's this post which says Sarumi Island looks like Sid from Ice Age. You got to turn it to like actually make it look like this, but yeah, it does. But you know what? Don't know about the rest of you, but that just looks like a uterus. And I'm glad it doesn't look like it's just me that thinks that, because there are people in the comments here that seem to think that as well. Wait a minute. This person says it looks like the Kuva Fortress in Warframe, therefore it looks like it. You telling me I've been playing Warframe for like 6 years now and I've never noticed that the Kuva Fortress looks like a uterus? Yeah, that's the case, I guess, because geez, this looks way more like it than Sarumi Island does. And lastly, this person says, then what does Tatarasuna look like? I think I've heard of this before. Does it really look like an Among Us character? Yeah, I can kind of see it. Well, with that is all that I have. So, if you have anything like this, leave it in the comments below. Maybe I make a follow-up if there's enough of it. So thank you to my patrons and my members for supporting me as always. Thank you to you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Attaboy!